Understanding what I know about the education system and how hard teachers and principals work already to do the best that they can. I think that the role of Te Puna Taiao is to provide different levels of support depending on what the school or community is, through enabling them to envision what their outdoor space might look like.
So the Te Puna Taiao kaupapa advocates for a complete mix-up of what schools look like at the moment. So instead of plastic fixed play equipment, we're talking about natural materials that can be moved and manipulated. So this is stuff that early childhood is already doing really well, and primary schools just haven't picked up on the good practice in that space.
Now, if you go back and look at photos of schools right back from when, it doesn't matter what country you're in, whether it be England, New Zealand, Australia, they pretty much all look the same. You know, they're square boxes on square bits of dirt with a little bit of grass, and what you get is a whole lot less diversity of interactions between our tamariki. What Te Puna Taiao is doing is fundamentally changing or opening up a whole area of our school grounds for new experiences to help our tamariki learn, not just inside but outside.
We have to make schools a place that introduces the natural world for kids in the school grounds.
We have a moral objective to ensure that as kaitiaki of this beautiful, wonderful land that we have, we are maximising opportunities to understand what that means. Te Puna Taiao provides an opportunity for us to rethink what that moral obligation looks like and to support our tamariki to unpack and explore their role as kaitiaki.
We know that the rates of kids with mental health problems, with anxiety, with the start of depressive symptoms, with autism, who are on the autism spectrum. So we know that sensory stuff is really important for those children. Schools as they're designed at the moment are just not catering well to those children, despite the best efforts of teachers and everybody that's working in that space, that actually the physical environment just doesn't support what those kids need. And it's about making sure that there are quiet spaces for those children to play and be in and have some downtime in and not feel like you're sticking out like a sore thumb and not feel lonely. The inclusion of gardens will help kids understand where their food comes from and how their eating habits and nutrition. Self-control at age 3 is the biggest predictor of many of life outcomes, your ability to control your temper. And we know these things can be taught, and we know kids aren't getting the opportunity to learn them. So if we can provide an environment that kids can naturally learn those skills and be assisted to learn those skills in a way that they used to be able to do, then this is broader societal benefits. This is not just for that realising the potential of that child and that whānau, but it's also the broader community and society as that child lives a healthy and happy and productive life. I think a really key area is in building social skills. If the natural environment allows them to go and potter about in a stream and play with some rocks, and then somebody else comes and sits down next to them and starts playing with those rocks next to them, and they connect with them over doing something.
Equity for Māori has been a big part of the conversations I have with principals and teachers and communities, and this kaupapa, Te Puna Taiao, is a really tangible way that schools and teachers can rethink how they approach teaching and learning in a way that supports all of the values and principles that I know can make a difference in education. A lot of my work with schools is talking with teachers and principals around some of the things that they already do really well and supporting them to think about ways they can add to that and grow that. Te Puna Taiao really excites me because it's something that is a real tangible thing that schools will be able to look at and go, we achieved that in the first phase, but then continually being in that space and seeing how that changes their approach to education as a catalyst for becoming something much more holistic around what education is.
We realised that actually this was something that wasn't just relevant to our school, of course, but relevant to all schools in New Zealand. That's when we started working together and thinking, okay, we can set this up as a charitable organisation that provides the support and services to and our learnings to share with other people to apply it, the kaupapa, in the way that best suits them and their needs.
So I've heard examples of lots of little things that might be happening in isolation in different schools where the principles of what we're talking about might be being enacted. I haven't heard something that pulls all of those threads together.
The skills that our kids are going to need down the line are problem solving, creativity, teamwork. If we give kids loose parts, they can create and they can learn together and they can adapt and they can figure out what works and they can problem solve on their own. And so we're giving them the tools and the environment to learn the skills that we know that they're going to need down the line.
Our outdoor spaces are places where teachers can start to rethink how to provide opportunities for kids to engage with new ideas and new concepts. So we shift away from the only place education can happen is in a classroom. Te Ao Māori's known that for a long time. Actually, this is our classroom here. So Te Puna Taiao is really also about supporting teachers to think about how that might look differently and provide them with a resource so they can start to experiment and try new things to really make a difference for our kids.